Today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. My name is Scott Garibay, and I'm just going to acknowledge right now this content is coming in the middle of the 2023 spring Dungeons and Dragons Trust Break. There are two groups. There are anti-D&D group, and there is the pro D&D group. The pro D&D group right now is a stalwart remnant. It is so small you can barely see it. Okay, and there are people shouting in the streets, D&D be gone. We don't want Dungeon Masters to exist. We want every D&D book that's ever been printed to be burned in the digital fires and to be burned in the physical fires, right? D&D be gone. We want the legacy gone. We want the history gone. We want it gone. That is a real shout, really shouted in the fires of the revolution, which happened. Oh, by the way, when did all this start? I'll tell you right now. January 3rd, 2023. That is the date. Okay? I think it wasn't the trigger. It didn't trigger it. Okay? It's simply the first recognizable event. I actually think the first event of the 2023 spring Dungeons and Dragons OGL 1.01 leak Firestorm event was AJ Pickett saying, "I'm out. I'm leaving. Bye-bye, Hasbro." I think it was like when a rabbit's on a volcano and it like kind of just like gets this weird sense in a horror movie and like jets off, right, and runs because they know it's all coming, right? All right. What I want to talk about today is specifically I'm going to collect an I told you check, and I am going to and I also want to talk about what is Dungeons and Dragons. I have asked this question 100 times on this channel in the 8 years I've been here talking about D&D, and the reason why is everything comes down to this. If you do not know what Dungeons and Dragons is, you're going to run smack into a wall, and that's exactly what just happened to a whole bunch of people. First of all, let's collect my I told you check. Everybody's like, oh, the first Ginny D talked about this nonstop, would not stop saying this, said it again and again and again. If you're having fun, you're doing it right. And I told you 100 times, Dungeons & Dragons is not about fun, right? And everybody laughed and pointed and said, "Oh, Scott, what do you know? Of course Dungeons & Dragons is fun. Is anybody having fun now?" You having fun now, right? Oh, hey, the whole earth just about done cracked in half, right? And everybody's like, oh, wait, what's happening here, man? There's a lot going on. And a lot of unhappy people. Ginny D right now is determining what she's going to do with the rest of her life. Is she been making a fortune and just having a blast covering Dungeons and Dragons? Now, just one single leak of a single legal document. All her love for D&D is doused. Right, where is it? Is it even a flickering flame? Or is Charmander's tail out? Right, you know what happens when Charmander's tail goes out? Like, can Ginny D, I'm sure she can do other work, but does she want to? Is she going to be happy doing other stuff? Right, there's real things at stake here. Real people's lives, real people's careers, right? Nerd immersion, man. That dude labored, right, for 100,000K sub button. You know who gave him to him? D&D followers. Ain't nobody else gave him that button, right? You know what he wants to do with that thing now? He wants to chuck it in the lake. Look at his every video starts with a frown, right? Ain't no joy now. Ain't nobody having fun now, right? And here's where we go. Okay, first of all, sorry, spoilers for The Rig. It's on Amazon Prime, and it is absolutely brilliant. It is a European television show brought to America. And I'm getting a real taste for this stuff recently. I really like these shows that, this is America, man. We make entertainment better than anybody in the world. But the Europeans, a few of their nations, I don't know if this thing's Belgian or Norwegian, or I'm sure it comes from some country in Europe, right? I know it's European, right? I don't know which country. I'm an American. I don't need to pay attention to Europe, right? So, but basically we get their best. Right, they make each country over there makes 25, 100 shows a month, right, or a year, right? And we're like, hey, we'll take your top 3, and we'll put them over on Netflix, right? And I've been watching them, and Belgium and Norway are coming up. They got some really good stuff, right? So The Rig is brilliant, right? And they hired Emily Hampshire, right? She was on Schitt's Creek. Fantastic show. I watched all of it. It's brilliant. I would highly recommend it. Beautiful show. I really loved it. Very funny, very dramatic. And Emily Hampshire was a masterpiece on that film, or on that television show, okay? So now she's on The Rig, and she's playing, and The Rig is about, I'm not going to tell too much. There's some spoilers here, but I'm not going to go too crazy with spoilers. Here we go. So The Rig is about this oil rig in the middle of like, it's either in the Pacific or the Atlantic. I'm terrible with geography. And it's in the middle of the ocean, right? And they get into this really bad situation where they don't know what's happening, and basically there's this fog that comes up, and the ocean gets crazy, and they're like, what's going on, right? And this ash starts to fall, right? And so Emily Hampshire is a corpo. She's a soup. She's a bean counter, right? The oil company sent her to the rig to improve efficiency, right? She's like real straight-laced and all, right? And so she does some science, and she's like, and the leader of the rig comes to her and goes, hey, science chick, what do you got, right? And she's like, well, I've been, studying this thing, and I can tell you all this information about it from its geological attributes. And he's like, hey, I think that ash is affecting human beings. And she's like, well, I can tell you how old the substrate is that it came from, and I can tell you where it came from, where it drifted from. I can tell you about tectonic shifts and plate breaks and all that kind of thing. But I've been looking at this from a geological. I can tell you its geological attributes because I've been testing it and I've been looking at it geologically. But what you just said is that I need to look at it from a biological perspective. A biological perspective, right? And the entire frame was wrong, right? And they don't really know what the ash is. And that's it. That's all the spoilers I'm going to give you. They don't know what the ash is because they were looking at it geologically. And they should have been looking at it biologically. And what I'm telling you is you all laughed at me when I said D&D wasn't about fun, and now ain't nobody having fun, and the whole tabletop role-playing game world is cracked in half. And now, I'm not kidding, there's 100, maybe 1,000 people's lives are about to change because they did not know what Dungeons & Dragons was. They thought it was a game, Candyland, fun. What I've been telling you from the beginning is this is a fundamental shift in human narrative. This is a change in the way humans will tell stories forever, and it's more valuable than everything Shakespeare ever wrote. And Shakespeare is a plunker compared to the Dungeon Masters, who are going to absolutely transform IRL lives. I'm telling you Dungeons & Dragons is about manifold sentience. I'm telling you that when you become a Dungeon Master, you are no longer a normal human being, right? And all that sounded so funny, right? Until everybody woke up and said, oh my gosh, is Scott Garibay right? Was Dungeons & Dragons always a tool? Was Dungeons & Dragons a human improvement engine from the start, from 1974? And if you believe that, the way he does, the way he keeps saying, it's his humble opinion that Dungeons & Dragons was built by Gary Gygax and hidden as a game, but is actually a human improvement engine, does it all make sense now that Ginny D may go work at an insurance company because she never understood what she was dealing with, right? And she'll crush it. She'll sell a lot of insurance, I'm sure, right? And that nerd immersion is sad because he did not know what the attributes of the thing he was devoting half his life to was, right? That and lots and lots and lots of designers and competitors and people caught in the orbit of Dungeons & Dragons are shockingly sad right now because they were looking at the geological attributes. This is a game, right? And they didn't know it was a tool and that they were juggling a chainsaw. They were juggling a chainsaw. Oh, your hand just got cut off, right? Ginny D has a real problem right now, right? What is she gonna do, right? She does nothing but talk about D&D as her living, and now she hates D&D, right? Like, this is where we're at, in my humble opinion, right? And that's my point. You've been looking at the geological attributes, but you should have been looking at the biological attributes. You have no idea what Dungeons and Dragons is, but you're getting a clue now, aren't you? Everybody pointing to laugh at Scott, but everybody getting very intense and adamant about D&D now, and ain't nobody having fun. There you go. There you go. All that is my humble opinion. I would love to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.